Welcome to our cozy corner of the world today. I'm Lyra, and I am so happy to sit down and share this quiet time with you. Many language learners reach a point of frustration in their journey. You know the vocabulary and you understand the grammar rules perfectly, yet something still feels slightly mechanical when you speak. Feeling that your words do not match the warmth of your personality is completely normal. This happens to almost everyone who learns a new language. Your English sounds unnatural because you are relying on direct translations. Building sentences based on textbook structures rather than human connections creates a stiff feeling. We can fix this fast by replacing rigid habits with softer phrasing. The first reason conversations feel stiff is that we demand opinions instead of inviting them. When feedback is needed, someone might be told to tell you what they think. This is grammatically perfect but feels slightly heavy in a casual chat. It puts immediate pressure on the other person to deliver a verdict. We can fix this instantly by shifting our focus to their thoughts. Simply say, "Let me know your thoughts." Imagine finishing a presentation about a new idea to your team. Feedback is needed without making anyone feel interrogated. Looking around the room, you warmly ask them to let you know their thoughts. It creates a comfortable space for open discussion. Alternatively, consider sending a friend 3 options for a weekend trip. The cabins and the prices are listed clearly in a text message. Telling them to let you know their thoughts leaves the decision completely relaxed and natural. Another reason we sound mechanical is how we propose our plans. Often, absolute certainty is used for things that are just casual ideas. Textbooks train us to declare our intentions firmly. We learn to say, "I'm going to do something." Real life is much softer and constantly changing. Native speakers prefer to leave room for possibilities. A beautiful fix is the phrase I was thinking of. Discussing the upcoming weekend with your partner brings up this exact situation. Mentioning that you were thinking of checking out the new farmers market is perfect. It is not a rigid schedule at all, it remains simply an open idea. Perhaps a major life change is currently on your mind. Sitting down with a trusted mentor over coffee provides a chance to talk. Sharing that you were thinking of going back to school for design works beautifully. It shows an idea exists without a final choice being made. The tone sounds deeply human. We also sound unnatural when academic words enter casual spaces. Formal English gives us heavy transition words to connect our ideas. Words like moreover and furthermore are excellent for written essays. They sound extremely out of place in a normal chat. Adding an extra point to a story requires something much lighter. The fast fix is to use the phrase on top of that. Picture yourself complaining about a truly terrible travel experience. A friend listens while you explain your flight was delayed for 4 hours. Adding that on top of that they lost your luggage makes the story hit harder. It stacks one bad thing perfectly upon another. This phrase works for joyful moments too. Describing a wonderful dinner at a new restaurant is a great example. The food was incredible from start to finish. Smiling widely, you share that on top of that, the service was absolutely perfect. Listening habits also contribute to unnatural conversations. Responding to an explanation by simply stating that we understand is very common. Nothing is inherently wrong with this specific word. However, it can feel slightly robotic and distant. Showing true connection is important when listening to someone speak. A wonderful alternative is to say that makes total sense. A close friend might explain why they need to cancel lunch plans. Describing a chaotic morning, they admit they are totally exhausted. Reassuring them by saying that makes total sense builds the friendship. Their reality is validated completely. A colleague might walk you through a complex new software system. Finishing the demonstration of the workflow, they pause for your reaction. Assuring them that it makes total sense is warm and confirming. The way personal desires are stated can easily sound demanding. Directly stating our wants is often too blunt for polite company. Saying I want something sounds like a command from a young child. Fixing this fast involves framing our desire as a search. We frequently say I'm looking for. Imagine walking into a busy clothing store on a Saturday afternoon. The shop assistant approaches offering to help immediately. Politely telling them you're looking for a warm winter coat changes everything. It sounds like an invitation to collaborate rather than a harsh order. Professional conversations benefit from this structure as well. Interviewing for a new job always involves questions about long-term goals. Telling the hiring manager you're looking for a role with creative freedom is brilliant. The statement sounds professional and highly natural. Disagreement is a delicate art in any language. Telling someone they are wrong is almost always too aggressive for a healthy relationship. It shuts down the conversation immediately and causes defensive reactions. Keeping the door open for dialogue is essential. Softly introducing your perspective as an alternative vision works best. The fast fix here is to say, I actually see it a bit differently. This removes the personal attack entirely. Attending a meeting about a new marketing strategy presents a perfect opportunity. Someone suggests targeting a very young audience despite the evidence. Believing this is a mistake based on the data requires you to speak up. Gently replying that you actually see it a bit differently softens the blow. Sharing your reasons calmly follows naturally. Arguing with a sibling about a shared childhood memory is another common scenario. They insist you were terrified of dogs when you were little. Smiling while saying you actually see it a bit differently keeps the peace. Ordering food or asking for physical items requires a gentle touch. Giving direct commands to service workers sounds quite arrogant. Using the word give creates an uncomfortable dynamic between two adults. Framing a request pleasantly and politely is our preferred method. We love to use the phrase I would love to get. Stepping up to the counter at a busy bakery is a great example. Looking at the beautiful display of pastries makes you hungry. Telling the baker you would love to get 2 chocolate croissants brings positive energy. This specific phrase works beautifully at the office as well. Walking into the supply room to find the office manager is a common task. Requesting a few extra notebooks for your team by saying you would love to get them is polite. The entire interaction flows effortlessly. Reactions are the heartbeat of a truly good conversation. When someone shares surprising news, we need natural ways to respond. Asking if something is true sounds like we doubt their honesty. Expressing surprise without challenging their truthfulness is a much better approach. A perfect fix is to say, I can hardly believe it. Your friend calls to tell you they won a free trip to Japan. Laughing out loud, you tell them you can hardly believe it. It shows genuine excitement and shared joy. A neighbor might tell you they are moving to another country next week. The suddenness of the news catches you completely off guard. Shaking your head, you admit you can hardly believe it. It perfectly captures that feeling of sudden wonder. Empathy is crucial when someone shares bad news with you. Responding with simple descriptive words feels highly insufficient. Showing that we truly feel their struggle alongside them is vital. A beautiful phrase for this is that sounds really rough. A coworker tells you they spent the whole weekend fixing a broken pipe. Their basement flooded and their favorite clothes were ruined. Looking at them sympathetically, you say that sounds really rough. A sibling might call you feeling overwhelmed with their university exam. They describe sleepless nights and very difficult professors. Softly telling them that it sounds really rough provides true comfort. I often tell people listening to SpeakFlow English that the energy behind our words matters as much as the vocabulary. This phrase carries a beautiful and supportive energy. Praise should always feel specific and deeply genuine. Using generic words for everything makes our praise feel a bit empty. When someone gets something exactly right, we need a stronger phrase. Telling people that their observation is spot on is a fantastic habit. Imagine trying to understand a highly complex movie. A friend explains their theory about the hidden meaning of the story. Their explanation makes all the pieces fit together perfectly. Telling them their analysis is spot on validates their cleverness. This works wonderfully for physical senses too. Visiting a chef who tries to recreate a classic family recipe is a wonderful experience. Taking a small spoonful, you close your eyes to taste it. Telling the chef the seasoning is completely spot on means perfect accuracy. Leaving a conversation gracefully is a vital social skill. Announcing abruptly that you must leave sounds dramatic and sudden. It feels like escaping a trap rather than departing a friendly chat. Gently introducing the idea of leaving before actually going is preferred. The fast fix is to say, "I should probably get going." Chatting with a neighbor over the garden fence passes the time quickly. The sun is setting and you have dinner to cook. Smiling gently, you mention that you should probably get going. It signals the end without any roughness. Being on a long video call with a business client requires similar grace. The main business is concluded and the small talk is fading. Looking at the clock, you mention that you should probably get going. It wraps things up warmly. The final farewell also benefits from a much more casual touch. The formal word for parting is quite final and somewhat heavy. Reserving it for long trips or deeply serious moments makes sense. Small promises of future connection are preferred for daily life. We love to tell people we will catch them later. Finishing a long workout at the local gym leaves you exhausted but happy. Waving to your training partner as you head for the door feels good. Simply saying you will catch them later keeps the friendship active. Hanging up the phone with your best friend is similar. Having no specific plans to meet does not matter because you will talk soon. Ending the call by saying you will catch them later feels light and continuous. Building agreement creates strong and lasting relationships. Stating clinical agreement is perfectly fine but a bit dry. Praises that show we are standing side by side with someone are much better. A wonderful choice is to say, "I am completely with you on that." Discussing the importance of rest with a close friend is a deep conversation. They explain how they turn off their phone every Sunday to find peace. Sharing the exact same philosophy brings you closer together. Nodding warmly, you tell them you are completely with you on that. It feels deeply supportive. Planning a complex project with a colleague requires alignment. They suggest pushing the launch date back to ensure higher quality. Seeing the wisdom in their careful approach is easy. Telling them you are completely with you on that builds immediate professional trust. We also need gentle ways to express our personal doubts. Bluntly rejecting an idea causes immediate and unnecessary friction. Wrapping our doubt in a layer of soft uncertainty is much wiser. We fix this by saying, "I am not entirely sure about that." A friend suggests a risky investment opportunity they found online. It sounds far too good to be true. Gently warning them by saying you're not entirely sure about that helps them pause. Your romantic partner wants to paint your cozy living room a bright neon green. Looking at the paint sample causes slight internal horror. Instead of banning the color entirely, you say you are not entirely sure about that. Inviting them to reconsider without starting a fierce argument is a delicate art. It softens the rejection beautifully. Checking if someone understands you requires significant care. Testing their comprehension directly can sound quite condescending. It feels like a strict teacher testing a slow student. Turning the responsibility onto our own shoulders is much kinder. Finishing an explanation and saying, "Hopefully that makes sense," is perfect. Spending 10 minutes giving a lost tourist directions to the local museum is helpful. Describing the specific turns and the visual landmarks takes time. Finishing by smiling and saying, "Hopefully that makes sense," removes all pressure. Trying to explain a complicated family dynamic to a very new friend is challenging. Untangling the complex web of relationships and past events requires patience. Taking a deep breath and saying, "Hopefully that makes sense," makes you vulnerable instead of demanding. Apologies require a careful balance of grace and clear ownership. Using highly formal apologies for tiny errors feels theatrical and unnatural. However, simply offering a basic sorry sometimes feels a bit careless. We like to clearly accept the blame for daily accidents. We fix this by saying that was completely my mistake. Imagine carrying hot coffee into the office and accidentally bumping a colleague. A few drops spill onto their shiny shoes. Grabbing a paper napkin, you say that was completely my mistake. A different situation might happen at your computer. Perhaps an urgent email goes out, but the important document is missing. The client kindly points this missing piece out in a reply. Sending the attachment quickly resolves the problem. Your short note simply says that was completely my mistake. It is honest and takes full responsibility without any unnecessary drama. Offering help should always feel natural and profoundly easy. Announcing your grand intention to help can sound a bit heroic or formal. Making our offers sound casual and very small is the secret. A lovely phrase is to offer to give someone a hand with that. Seeing your older neighbor struggling to carry 3 heavy bags of groceries is common. Walking over warmly, you say, "Let me give you a hand with that." It feels neighborly and deeply kind. When you spend time with SpeakFlow English, you are building exactly these kinds of natural conversational bridges. You might see a new coworker struggling to operate the complicated office printer. Stepping away from your desk, you offer to give them a hand with that. It builds community effortlessly. Expressing our physical state is a common part of daily chat. Stating that you are very tired is accurate but lacks visual color. Native speakers use vivid imagery to describe their exhaustion. We fix this by telling people we are completely worn out. Spending the entire weekend helping a close friend move heavy furniture is brutal. Sunday evening arrives and your muscles are screaming. Sinking into your soft sofa, you tell your partner you're completely worn out. Finishing a brutal week of university exams leaves a similar feeling. Living on strong coffee and very little sleep for days takes a toll. A friend invites you to a loud evening party. Declining by explaining you are completely worn out paints a clear mental picture of your deep fatigue. We also need colorful ways to talk about our busy lives. Announcing that you are busy feels like a tall wall that stops conversation. We prefer a metaphor about a dinner plate overflowing with too much food. We say we have so much on our plate right now. Your boss asks if you can take the lead on a new committee. Managing 3 major corporate accounts already consumes your days. Respectfully declining by explaining you have so much on your plate right now works perfectly. A friend suggests starting a weekly book club together. Loving the idea is easy, but you are currently planning a wedding and working full-time. Telling them you would love to join later, but you have so much on your plate right now is honest. Managing time in fast conversations happens constantly. Ordering someone to wait sounds like a harsh command from a strict authority figure. Making the wait sound incredibly short and completely casual is essential. We frequently tell people to give us just a second. Typing an important sentence when a colleague approaches your busy desk requires focus. Holding up one finger, you gently ask them to give you just a second. Finishing your thought allows you to turn your full attention to them. Cooking dinner when the front doorbell rings is another classic example. Your hands are covered in sticky flour. Shouting toward the door, asking them to give you just a second while you wash your hands is polite. It acknowledges the person while buying you the precious time you need. Admitting we forgot something can often be embarrassing. Just confessing that you forgot sounds a bit careless or lazy. Blaming the thought itself for escaping our busy brain is a clever alternative. We fix this by saying it completely slipped my mind. Arriving at a lovely dinner party, you realize you were supposed to bring the wine. Looking at the host with genuine regret in your eyes is uncomfortable. Apologizing and admitting it completely slipped my mind is the best approach. Being supposed to call your mother on Tuesday evening is a common responsibility. Wednesday morning arrives and you suddenly realize your mistake. Calling her immediately is the only option. Telling her you are so sorry and that it completely slipped your mind shows you did not intentionally ignore the responsibility. The memory simply vanished. Handling direct questions when we lack the answer requires social tact. Claiming pure ignorance can sometimes sound dismissive or slightly lazy. Softening our lack of knowledge by adding a layer of thoughtful consideration is much better. We prefer to say, "I'm not entirely sure." A tourist stops you on the street to ask for a specific address. Recognizing the street name but being unable to picture the exact geographical location is frustrating. Telling them you are not entirely sure while pointing them in the general direction is helpful. Your manager asks exactly how much budget remains for the current quarter. Checking the financial spreadsheet is required to be perfectly accurate. Telling them you're not entirely sure and promising to look it up immediately sounds professional. Small talk often begins with checking in on each other. Replying with a robotic status update closes the door to further human connection. A response with a bit more rhythm and authentic warmth is highly preferred. We often say things are going pretty well. Bumping into an old-school classmate at the local grocery store is a pleasant surprise. Smiling widely, they ask how life has been treating you. Smiling back, you tell them things are going pretty well. Adding a small detail about a new hobby you started keeps the chat alive. Settling into a comfortable chair before a morning meeting begins is another common situation. The new client asks how your week has been so far. Telling them things are going pretty well and asking about their week sets a comfortable tone. Discussing difficulties without sounding overly negative is an important life skill. Describing everything hard as merely difficult sounds a bit pessimistic and heavy. We prefer to frame hard things as puzzles or physical obstacles to overcome. We often say it is quite a challenge. Deciding to learn how to play the acoustic guitar in your 30s takes courage. Your fingers ache terribly, and the new musical chords are complex. A close friend asks how the weekly lessons are progressing. Laughing gently, you admit it is quite a challenge. Another example is assembling a large piece of wooden furniture with terrible printed instructions. Your romantic partner walks into the room asking how the project is going. Wiping your forehead, you say it is quite a challenge. This phrasing shows you are struggling but absolutely not defeated. Notice how these small conversational shifts completely change the feeling of an interaction. You are no longer just exchanging dry pieces of information with another human being. You are sharing warmth and respect and genuine humanity. Take these soft phrases with you into your upcoming week. Let them sit naturally in your mind and roll easily off your tongue. You already have the deep knowledge inside you. Now you are just letting it breathe and find the light. It has been a true joy spending this peaceful time with you today. Take good care of yourself out there until we speak again.